Cast steel quick hitches and fabricated steel quick hitches are both made very differently. This means that both of them have their pros and their cons. Continue watching this video to find out the best parts and the worst parts of each manufacturing process of quick hitch. So first off, let's talk about the strength and durability of each style of hitch. In terms of the strength and durability of cast hitches versus steel fabricated quick hitches, cast hitches have always been more renowned for their strength and durability because of things like the elements that you can add, like the chromium and molybdenum, which increases the strength and the hardness of the material. These elements, or compounds, make the hitch more wear resistant when you're comparing it to a welded steel frame hitch. Even though both hitches may tend to use the same grade of steel in the manufacturing process, cast hitches tend to be more durable because they're one unit and they haven't got that possibility of a weld or an uneven weld or a crack in the weld that could weaken the hitch frame. This leads to them wearing down slower and giving you better performance over time. Additionally, cast steel hitch frames follow natural load paths and are free from any welded seams, which obviously reduces stress concentration on any weak or potential weak parts. Without these joints, the cast frame has a smooth, continuous surface which reduces any stress concentration, which obviously lowers the likelihood of any cracks forming in any of these high stress areas. In rare events of failure, a fabricated steel hitch is more likely to bend, whereas a cast steel hitch is more likely to snap because of its molecular structure. From what we've had in terms of feedback from the market, high stress areas on a fabricated steel frame hitch, such as where the lifting eye is, when lifting heavy loads, if too much stress is put on it, the hitch can warp or bend or twist. So it's just one thing to consider of a fabricated steel hitch versus a cast steel hitch. Another thing to consider when you're looking at the two styles of hitches is obviously the design flexibility and also the customization of the hitch. Cast steel hitches have the advantage of being able to offer more complex geometries and logos which are cast into the frame, which is difficult to replicate with a fabricated frame with like a steel plate or weld, for example. Cast hitches can be made lighter also by only adding material where it is necessary. The wall thickness can vary by adding in weight reduction pockets or cavities to lower the weight of the entire unit and keep it to a minimum. This design allows you to be more efficient with your material use, whereas against the fabricated style of hitch, this is dictated to by the steel plate thickness, for example. However, cast hitches are less adaptable for when if you want to make small one-off adaptations to the design. Custom cast hitches, the steps that there would be, such as creating a brand new mould, makes this process a lot more complex compared to the manufacturing of a custom fabricated steel hitch. What makes this so complex is the prototyping or the geometry checks to make sure that the hitch is exactly what you've specified it to be. Most manufacturers tend to avoid the customization of a hitch when it's cast due to the high cost of creating another mould and in turn obviously increasing the price of the hitch. Fabricated steel hitches tend to be heavier than a cast frame hitch due to the limitation of the steel thickness, for example, that you might have in stock for the components. Reducing the weight of the plates would require extensive machining, which would increase the cost and also the complexity of the manufacturing process. Complex curves or features are often difficult to incorporate into fabricated steel hitches. This often results in multiple plates being welded together, which obviously increases the labour and can bring about alignment challenges. Often, fabricated steel hitches give more flexibility and customization to customers, which are ideal for customers that have specific requirements or special measurements or dimensions that they want their hitch to align to. The best example of this is if a customer wants a mix and match type quick hitch. Because fabricated steel hitches are made out of many different components, these components can be resized or adjusted in their measurements dependent on the customization of the quick hitch. This allows the manufacturer to accommodate for more customized orders because it doesn't make many changes to the way the production process works. So if you're looking for a custom or a mix and match type quick hitch, then a fabricated design hitch is probably your better option. Another consideration is the maintenance requirements of the hitch. Both require servicing and maintenance to ensure that they perform and run smoothly. Welded frame quick hitches tend to require more often inspection and servicing, especially in rugged environments, to check that there's no cracks or damage to any of the welds on the frame. In the event of a component or a weld failing, it does tend to be easier to repair or replace parts on a welded frame hitch, whereas with a cast frame hitch it can be occurrences where you have to replace the whole hitch. With a cast hitch not having any weld seams in it, this means that there are fewer spots that may require inspection or repair, and in turn this can keep your maintenance costs lower. Although if a cast frame does crack or snap, you do have very limited options for repair, which means in turn you'd have to probably replace the whole unit. So the next point to consider is the cost, but also the production lead time. Cast steel quick hitches can come with higher upfront costs due to the unique prototypes and the moulds that have to be created beforehand. The initial stage involves careful planning and precise mould making to ensure that the final product is exact to the specification of the mould. However, once the moulds have been created and the design has been approved, cast steel hitches become significantly cheaper to produce and quicker. The moulds can be reused repeatedly, which allows manufacturers to produce large quantities and at high efficiency, which obviously drastically reduces production time and the cost per unit. Lower production costs allow the manufacturer to keep the prices lower for you as the customer. But as previously mentioned, cast steel hitches can be more susceptible to internal flaws such as porosity and shrinkage cavities, which means that as the manufacturer, this calls for a lot more quality control and X-ray and ultrasound testing to ensure quality. Fabricated steel hitches require individual assembly and welding for each unit that is produced. Components can be cut and shaped in bulk, allowing for stock plates to be readily available. But each hitch must be manually welded up by a skilled welder, which is a very labour intensive process. This can increase production time per unit. Also, the nature of welding does introduce the likelihood of imperfections such as warping or misalignment, which means welded hitches must be thoroughly inspected for any imperfections or any misalignment in the dimensions. Any imperfections are usually very simple to rectify due to the manufacturing process though. So which type of quick hitch is best for you? The choice between a cast steel hitch and a fabricated steel hitch largely depends on your requirements and your preference, but also your excavator and the jobs in hand. We've put together a simple table with all the details listed out beside each other to give you a fair comparison, so please pause the video now to look in more detail. Do you want to know a bit more about the Rhinox range of excavator quick hitches? Please watch this playlist here to find out more, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Can come with versus against a welded frame hitch versus against